Okay, time for another edition of Graphic Views, which critics have already described as episode 10. For the third week in a row, we start with Amazing Spider-Man, and I wasn't going to review issue 602, and basically I'm not going to. I just wanted to show off the cover. I'm aware that Black Cat is due to make an appearance over the next couple of issues, and half expect this to be the cover by the time she arrives, if Marvel continue to entice readers with these increasingly seductive images. It is well documented that teenage girls who view images depicting the female ideal as toned, thin beauties can cause women to feel depressed, less confident, and even angry at their own appearance. While already rampant with other publishers, Marvel needs to be aware that this trend may have a negative effect on its female audience, especially as in my experience female comic book readers tend to be cock-repelling growlers. And since we're on the subject of Spidey, Ultimate Spider-Man relaunches this week with a streamlined cast and new look. And as it still takes 2 minutes to read, I can see how it would appeal to younger readers with ADD. But unfortunately it provided nothing which would make me consider picking up the title regularly again, with artist La Fuente's depiction of Spider-Man being the chief concern. I mentioned last week that I was not keen on Quesada's new look for Webhead, but it pales in comparison to this 4'0" beach ball-headed aberration. Though, with the difference between the regular and Ultimate Spidey, even D'Angelo Barksdale could tell the difference now. IDW continues its Transformers Best of UK reprints with Prey. This storyline begins with the introduction of the Predacons to the series and follows Optimus and Megatron in their first trip back to Cybertron since the Ark crashed. The story becomes a decent character study as Prime goes on the run from Ultra Magnus and the Wreckers in a case of mistaken identity, and Megatron faces off with Lord Stratus, who is long overdue for a return. The UK stories were always superior to the American counterparts, but this is very dated and suffers from an overcomplicated storyline and inconsistent art. Really, it's only of interest to Transformer completists, and if you fall into this category you will already own either the original issues or have the Titan trades that were released a few years ago. DC's Adventure Comics #1 is Superboy's first solo issue since his return in the Legion of Three Worlds series, which was the only readable title in the Final Crisis line. The story deals with Connor's reintegration into Smallville and the introduction of Simon Valentine as a possible future arch-nemesis, but sadly no reunion yet with Tim Drake. I'm not sure if this series will have a rotating cast or focus on Superboy, but I hope the latter, as I still find interest in Connor Kent's dichotomy, and enjoy Jeff Johns' take as he writes the Superman family as good if not better than Green Lantern. Booster Gold 23 continues the story of Booster trying to fix a timeline in which Dick Grayson died as Robin. I'm not a BG fan, but was really enjoying this storyline up until this issue where the big bad is revealed as Trigon, who is overused by lazy writers as regular readers of Teen Titans can attest. In regards to the cover, I am loath to imagine any comic in my collection being defaced by a photo of a TV presenter. Would you buy an X-Men comic with a Ryan Seacrest variant? To be honest, until a friend told me, I had no idea who this bint was, and I was pretty sure that Sarah Jessica Parker did not have a younger, manlier sister. Ugh. Xenoscope's Grim Fairy Tales regularly top Wizards indie list, and if you've got spare cash and haven't tried these titles before, the Wonderland series is the best they produce both art and script-wise. Escape from Wonderland is the final arc in the trilogy, with the main plot sounding like an episode of the Maury Povich Show, as Alice's daughter Callie mounts a rescue for her own daughter Violet, who is kidnapped by the Mad Hatter Callie's brother Johnny. I have a neutral opinion on this title, as I could list as many positives as negatives, and it all comes down to personal preference, so suck it and see. I don't read Black Panther, but had a quick look at this month's issue, and it reminded me of a game me and some guys from work play on fag breaks. Staring across the road at the bus station, we play Spot the White Guy, which you can play just as easily with this comic. When it comes to race, Marvel goes from one extreme to the other. Marvel, and DC even more so, have always pushed token minorities into their team books so not to seem prejudiced, but all it does is weaken a title. The industry has been hard pressed to create black characters that resonate with the public, with characters like Bishop and Steel always seen as a throwaway second stringers. But the recent trend to thrust black characters in the spotlight, along with the numerous appearances of Barack Obama and the way he is portrayed, borders on propaganda. I don't buy a comic because it has a purely white cast, and all Marvel does with this all-black book is strengthen the racial divide. Both companies need to find a balance, but more importantly make sure it fits the story. Street Fighter 2 from Udon is a definite guilty pleasure. With no social or political undertone, it doesn't try to be anything more than a comic book based on a video game. If you know the game, you can pick up nearly any issue in the series as a jumping on point, but they have all been building up to issue 8 and the start of the tournament. In the tradition of the Sun Valley Championship, here we have the fight results so far. No major upsets, but hardly surprising as this is basically a popularity contest. As one of the sex symbols of the game, Cammy was bound to go through and will probably beat Guile, even if in real life Kylie Minogue would get her ass handed to her by Jean-Claude Van Damme. More predictions that you can take to your bookie is that Ken will beat Dhalsim and Eddie Honda will get spanked by the top seed Ryu. Chun-Li is another fan favourite, so should make short work of Fire Long. After this you will have to face off against Ryu, who realistically would beat her like Chris Brown, but as she has her own movie under her belt, this may give her the edge. Either way, it's a safe bet that the winner of this bout will be the one to go all the way on to Bison. The pick of the week goes to Blackest Night Batman for being a worthwhile tie-in to this event. I still expect DC to milk this story for all it's worth, and was not expecting much from this title after the disappointing Tales of the Lantern Corps. The plot kicks off with Deadman Boston Brand looking for help after his corpse is enlisted, which calls into question the exact nature of the Black Lanterns if his spirit is left behind. The pace increases once Boston teams up with Dick and Damien as they discover Dick and Tim Drake's parents have been taken. Obviously some, if not all, of the Black Lanterns will return to life at the end of the event, and for Dick this could lead to interesting stories and would also not lead to cries of blasphemy, which is why Bruce's parents were left alone. All in all, I'll say so far so good. And until next time.